Okay, it being after 7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order of the Committee of the Whole of the Borough of Pottstown for September 7, 2016. We rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Okay, subcommittee reports. Infrastructure, Councilor Cole.
There was no meeting.
Okay. Economic development and business.
Two quick things, Mr. Wynn.
Okay.
Just for council's edification, the Chamber's Economic Development Luncheon will be held on October the 19th at Sunnybrook. It's my understanding that there's going to be an invitation going out asking councilors to attend. So if any of you can put that on your calendar, I believe it starts at 11:30.
Bless you.
The other issue that I want to bring to your attention, the Valley Forge Tourism and Convention Bureau is going to be holding their annual meeting on October 28th at Sunnybrook. It's going to be somewhere between 400 and 500 people, and they will be, as part of their program, my understanding, asking Steve Bamford to speak on economic development and showcasing some of the amazing stuff that's starting to happen here in Pottstown.
Great. Thank you. Transportation, Councilor Cole.
No meeting yet.
No meeting. All right. Ricketts Center. Rita, anything? Nothing. Pottstown School Board, Mr. Heidel. Going to be out of here by 7:30.
I'll make it quick then. At our August 22nd meeting, the School Board of Directors approved by a 7-to-1 vote a 3-year contract with the Federation of Pottstown Teachers. The contract will cost taxpayers approximately $1.3 million by the end of the 3rd year of the term. Main highlights of the contract include an implementation of a new salary schedule. The new schedule will help direct money to our younger teachers who are currently on lower steps in the salary schedule. The contract also includes increases in co-curricular and special education teacher stipends. On August 29th, the 2016-2017 school year began for the Pottstown School District. Teachers, students, and parents of all district schools were bright-eyed and eager to begin classes. Also on the 29th, the Pottstown Mercury's Evan Brandt, along with John Armato, the district's Communication Relations Director, presented a video presentation on the Mercury's website showing Pottstown teachers, administrators, students, parents, and residents showing their Pottstown pride. Photos from all over Pottstown, the United States, as well as international destinations were featured, with people showing their pride in our district and community. The video is not the end of this endeavor, as Mr. Armato will continue to collect photos and videos throughout the school year. So please show your Pottstown pride by purchasing and wearing Trojan gear. We are Pottstown Apparel, available from Mr. Armato at the District Administration Building. The start of the school year also means the start of the fall athletic season for the Pottstown Trojan teams. We welcome all fans of our teams to attend events at the school district fields. A schedule of events can be found on the district website. For all events taking place at Grigg Memorial Stadium, ticket prices are $5 for adults and $4 for students. This would like to congratulate David Maverick, who will take the position as a new 5th grade teacher at the middle school. He was formerly an intervention specialist with the district. His hiring brings the 5th grade teaching staff to 10 teachers, which will keep our 5th grade classroom size at approximately 25 students per classroom. We'd also like to congratulate Mr. Stephen Kalis of the law firm of Fox Rothschild for being reappointed as district solicitor for the 2016-2017 and 2017-2018 school years. Our next regular board meeting will be held on Monday, September 26th at 7 p.m. in the high school cafeteria. Thank you.
Thank you. Ad hoc zoning committee, there was a meeting, however, there was not a quorum, so no business was conducted. Animal committee, Vice President Miller.
I'm waiting on confirmation with the district justices for a meeting before we can move to our next step.
Great. Thank you. Safety, Chief Drumheller.
Sticking with the theme tonight, I'll be very brief. We will be meeting with the camera vendors in the next week. The locations have been finalized. We have a couple alternate locations, and the deposits are getting ready to be made. and the contract has been signed. So we're moving along rapidly with the cameras. I'm hoping installation for early fall. Okay?
Very good.
Thank you.
Chief, does that mean that the locations have been picked for the camera placing,
Would that be the locations for what?
for the placement of the cameras?
Yeah, we're not revealing them yet, but we've done the statistical data and reviewed the best locations for the cameras.
Thank you.
Fine. Mayor's report.
Thank you, President Nguyen. I'd like to start with saying that over the course of, as many months as possible, I'd like to bridge some issues, and those issues include things that have had implementation over the current term as mayor, that have bridged to the first term and across. And the first issue I'd like to start to talk about is the appointment of our chaplain, Everett Debnam. He is our liaison to the general community, interfacing on behalf of the police department. He has many duties assigned, which include engagement with not only other spiritual leaders, but community groups, neighborhood partners, as well as sick and hospital visits. In 2006, as I began my first term, then our police chief was our current borough manager, Mark Flanders. He had appointed Bishop Debnam as the acting chaplain at that time of the police department. During that time, it was an unofficial capacity, although his presence was very visible, very appreciated, and very notable. I remember at least one or two murder sites where we both were present with the police department, the chief, and other members of neighboring departments. At the onset of the second term, I came to Chief Drumheller and expressed the need for a structured chaplaincy office with all the amenities that are afforded and the trainings needed, with the credentialing documented, that we could install an official and credentialed chaplain. Concurrently, we had approached the church communities, or the church communities had approached us, all faiths, and the discussion was broached about a chaplain, somebody with credentials. And the clergy community decided unanimously that since Bishop Debnam had already been functional in that role, it was only logical that he should continue and be the delegate in that position. So I just wanted to bridge some of the history of the appointment to the chaplaincy and the emergence of the credentialing and some of the duties that are assigned to our chaplain, Everett Debnam. I'd also like to tell you that in July 2016, the very last month that statistics have been completed, there were 2,220 calls for service. Of these calls, 2,210 occurred in the borough. In the statistical analysis, I'd just like to talk about two very large categories. One of them is domestic disturbances, and another one is other disturbances. Other disturbances included 191 calls. 63, the highest number, occurred in Ward 1. These other disturbances include things such as children playing in the street, windows getting broken by balls that are thrown, people that are calling to complain about excessive noise. Anything that's generic falls under that category of other disturbances. And it adds to the call volume, but not necessarily crime reporting. So everything that's called in and reported statistically is not always a crime. Sometimes there are quality of life issues. Just to bring up a few issues that we are looking at, and this involves things for winter. I know it's not winter. There's a couple days where the 90s are still going to encroach upon us, probably even in October. But we are revisiting the issue of overage for parking in the case of snow emergencies. I know we've had some very challenging conditions last winter, and there was no place for people to park is an overflow. So We've been talking about fine-tuning this a little better and designating and researching additional places where people can park. If the snow emergency routes must be cleared, then we must be able to enforce the towing. I just wanted to bring up the issue about illegal guns. I had a conversation with Chief Drumheller about the prevalence of increasing in shots fired in the daytime, during school hours, during playtime. And last month I had mentioned the possibility of having some type of informal search to find out if there were any guns in the local pawn shops or even throughout the county, and found out that there's only one place where someone could buy a gun in a pawn shop, and that's the Federal Coin Exchange, and they carry a federal arms license. There was a few caveats about guns. If we receive a gun and that gun belongs to an owner, there must be a court order for that individual to receive their gun back. But we are a gun sanctuary, so if there's anyone out there who knows of a gun that's in a residence, that you don't feel that gun belongs there, you feel endangered and your safety is being compromised by the presence of that gun, you can turn it in without any questions to the Pottstown Police Department. And in order to continue to have a community where safety is a priority, we need everyone's participation, even on these levels of illegal firearms. If you have children in your home and you know that there's guns, you don't want those guns there, they make you feel uncomfortable. Maybe it's a situation where a loved one has passed on and they have a big gun cabinet. You are also able to bring those guns here and they will be confiscated. They will not be resold in any other forum. I had a call today, a new resident that was very concerned about what our activities are around the heroin epidemic. What are we actively doing? Do we have quote-unquote programs? Well, it's a little bit difficult to program addiction away. It's very difficult to program, things that people do where they're becoming addicted to opiates because they're stealing it out of the cabinet. They're becoming addicted because they're in so much pain that they're overdosing. Those are things that we cannot control. But through education and awareness and places such as Creative Health and other vendors that are intercepting and working with people in addiction, we do have some level of help. Since May to date, I believe we've had 7 or 8 Narcan rescues involving people in addiction. Some of those individuals are then put into voluntary treatment programs. Unfortunately, many of them do return to drug use. So even at the state level, there's kind of a crunch as to how to deal with this as it's becoming epidemic. So we're continuing to work on every level, the federal government, through Congressman Ryan Costello, and at the state level through Gary Tennis, and here at the local level with our medical and first responders to keep more people alive. And I just want to go back to that firearms issue because we're talking about possibly the first of the year starting a rotation of safe firearms training, and you'll be hearing more about that for the first one, most likely will be in January here at the Borough. And recently there was a first Community Day, first Veterans Community Day that was put in place by Kathy Peretti. I was able to attend, and it was an outstanding day. I learned a lot about service dogs and how comforting they are and therapeutic to people that are suffering with post-traumatic stress disorder and other types of emotional sicknesses that this particular service dog training that goes into position had taken one of the trainers from 6 days a week almost in therapy, doctor's appointments, some type of counseling, to 1 day per month because he became a trainer of the service dog and he himself acquired a service dog. So if you have interest in getting a service dog, get in touch with the Veterans Association, the VFW on High Street, Kathy Peretti. I have some information as well. And in Norristown, there's a Office of Veterans Affairs. I'd like to give you their number, 610-278-3285. If you are a veteran and you are in need of disability and Agent Orange issues, a dental program, or even a shuttle to transport around the county, please get in touch with the Montgomery County Office of Veteran Affairs. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mayor Thomas. And now the manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Wien. So hold on to your seats for this one. On August the 26th, PennDOT posted the closed-loop lighting project for contractor bids, and it's scheduled to be let on September the 29th.
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Just to let council know, this fall, the borough's coordinating with Marie Haig. Marie has been here several times, the Pottstown Moms and the Pottstown Art. This will be to display community art banners on the borough street light poles. The display will run from around October the 1st to November 15th, and it will feature fall-themed artwork from various local artists. She's currently looking for Maria is currently looking for local business sponsors to help offset the costs of the banners. I handed out before the meeting a document, it's an advertisement from the state that they've opened the window for 12 new KOZ, Keystone Opportunity Zone designations within the Commonwealth. Each designation must be no less than 10 acres with a 10-year benefit period. And under KOZ designation, all taxes would be abated from January the 1st, 2017 to December the 31st, 2026. And last but not least, applications are due on October the 1st of this year. I met with the school district, met with the superintendent of the school district, and Steve Bamford of PAID, and we had a lengthy discussion on this. It's our position that it's not in our best interest to pursue KOZ at this time, the designation, but we wanted council to be aware that the window was open. Our reasons are twofold. One, the October 1st deadline is very unreasonable. In fact, it's unattainable given the legal hurdles that would have to be overcome to get a designation. And second of all, we recently, as you know, enacted LRTA, and LRTA abates only an increase on the assessed value, whereas a KOZ would abate 100% of the taxes for 10 years. So with that said, unless it's council's desire to pursue this, I just wanted you to be aware of it. I also want to let council know that thanks to the efforts of our finance director, Janice Lee, and the cooperation of our department heads, the Government Finance Officers Association, known as GFOA, presented the borough with their Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for our 2016 annual operating budget. I believe I provided you with a copy of the award, which will be framed and displayed in the finance office. The GFOA established the awards program in 1984 to encourage and assist and then recognize both state and local government entities in the preparation of budget documents that are of the highest quality. Budget documents that reflect both the guidelines established by the National Advisory Council on state and local budgeting and in regard to the GFOA's best business practices. The documents that are submitted are reviewed by members of their professional staff and outside reviewers, and as a result, we received the award. So Janice, congratulations to you and your staff for the continued fine job that's occurring in the finance department. You may recall that last month I indicated to you that I'd be briefing you in regard to the final costs of the construction of our new public works facility. To that end, on Monday evening, Martin Kimmel of Kimmel Bogaret, our architectural firm, will be here to provide council with a closeout presentation. Would like to remind council that the next joint Borough Council School Board meeting will be held on Tuesday, September the 27th at 7:00 p.m. And tentatively it's scheduled to be here at Borough Hall. And last but not least, as a reminder, sadly, Sunday, September 11th is Patriots Day. Please remember that all U.S. flags are to be flown at half-staff. That's the end of my report.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Flanders. Item 6, Highway Safety Grant.
Chief Drumheller.
Item 6 is the DUI grant that we apply for every year. I believe that the total is $49,000 and change, and it's guaranteed money at 100%. So there's no match to it, and again, that funds the DUI program we're asking for a resolution for that.
Okay, we'll add that to the list for Monday evening. Thank you.
Don't sit down, Rick.
7, conditional offer police eligibility list.
Let me provide you with a little background first. Our current civil service list, it was established and ran 1 year in July of 31st. The Civil Service Commission met before the list expired, recertified the list for 1 more year, which they were allowed to do by law. There were 3 names on the list that were still eligible for hire, and the first name on the list is Tim Coughlin. He actually was a Pottstown resident, but just recently moved. Maybe I can encourage him to move back. but he would have to attend the academy. So what we have to do is we have to begin the process, because Corporal McClincy leaves in April of 2017, which will create the opening. So in advance of that, I would like to send him to the academy. He would just be about out of the academy when Corporal McClincy leaves, and then have to go to the field training program. Budgetary-wise, we will be dropping a high-ranking corporal salary, so there will be a period of about 4 months where we're going to overlap, where we will, in essence, recognize 47 police officers. I'm sure Janice can give you a little bit more on the finances of it, but I just believe that it's in the best interest of the police department to move forward in this level so that we have continued operational needs met.
Chief, if council approves this, you believe the officer will be on the street around the time Corporal McClincy retires, correct?
It'll probably be he would probably be out of the academy by then. He would have about 2 to 3 months of field training, and he would probably be on the streets somewhere in the end of June, beginning of July.
And if council chooses to wait and fill the vacancy after Corporal McClincy leaves, when would he hit the street?
Early 2018.
I don't want a vacancy. Okay, I'd like to add that to Monday night. Thank you. 8, Halloween parade, closure of High Street.
We have an application from the Parks and Recreation Department to close High Street on October the 25th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. It'd be from, I believe, Madison Street to York Street for the purpose of conducting the Halloween parade, with a rain date of October the 27th.
Okay, we'll add that for Monday. 9 is the Walk Bike Pottstown, construction inspection consultant.
Justin?
All right, well, this is another project that I'm happy to say is moving along quite nicely. The plans are in PennDOT's final approval stages, the PS&E as they call them, expected to go out to bid sometime in January, February of 2017. So in anticipation of construction, the borough's requested by PennDOT to select a construction inspector in accordance with the policies and procedures PennDOT has set forth. So what we've done is we've submitted an advertisement which was authorized by the Borough Council in June on PennDOT's electronic construction management system, and we received 4 proposals for construction inspection services from various firms. One of those firms was disqualified because they actually participated in the grant writing process and the design process, which by PennDOT guidelines would disqualify them from being selected. So following that, the Borough Selection Committee, which is comprised of the Borough Manager, Grants Administration, and Public Works Director, and myself, all ranked the 3 firms in accordance with 4 categories, including quality assurance, performance on past projects, PennDOT work experience, and resumes of the personnel involved with those firms. So based on the rankings, the selection committee recommends Michael Baker and Associate as the firm best qualified for construction inspection services for Mike Walk Pottstown.
Okay. And the action we need to take?
Not at this time. I think after this, we'll get a price quote from these firms and then go from there.
Okay.
I don't think we need a resolution or anything at this point, it's just that's who we're recommending.
Fine. Thank you. Okay. Number 10 is the Fire Department Ordinance Amendment. Mr. Garner.
Thank you, Mr. Wien. As council recalls, I believe it was at the July meeting, we had discussed a few changes to the fire department ordinances presently as drafted. They came about as a recommendation from the fire chief. I believe the gist of the changes or recommended changes at that time included changes to the qualifications of the position of fire chief, as well as providing the fire chief some additional authority beyond the fire scenes so that there would be a little more ability to provide some discipline and ensure public safety. Since that meeting, I guess we took back the comments that were made by council at the time. I met with the fire chief and the borough manager, and essentially what you have in front of you is a revised draft. I would say that primarily any of the changes, with the exception of the question of qualification of fire chief, are primarily simply drafting changes or language changes that are non-substantive. At the time we discussed this in July, there were some questions about how far the fire chief should live outside the borough or should be in the borough. And the present draft, and this is based upon both the borough manager and fire chief recommendation, is that the individual shall reside within 5 miles of the borough limits and will have 1 year from date of hire to relocate to that geographic area. I think if you compare this ordinance to the other draft, the rest of the changes are relatively minor in nature. And I don't know if the manager has any further comments, but if council is satisfied with the content of the ordinance amendment, the next step would be to authorize the advertisement of the document so it could be considered by council at the October meeting.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
I mean, my only comment is I'm going to vote no based off the fact that the person can live with, outside of the borough limits. So.
Okay. Any other comments?
Well, Chief Langle, while you're here, Chief Langle, you do not currently live in the borough of Pottstown. And can you, because this was your recommendations, so can you give us a little bit of the structure of the fire department as when the borough fire chief is not available, and how that structure works and why it's important to have fire chiefs next in line under you to be handling scenes at various times?
The ordinances, they're set up, goes in the order of seniority in the department, from deputy chiefs to battalion chiefs to captains, by seniority and by position. When I'm not there, the next higher person takes over and has all the same authority as whatever person sits in this position or my office. And currently, over half of the fire officers live outside the borough. We have one that lives in Boyertown, for example, another one lives in Amity Township. That clarifies some of what's going on with the residency. And there are other fire departments in Montgomery County that have chiefs that live outside of their municipalities, within reasonable distance to respond to the major incidents.
Any other discussion or comment? And our action for Monday is to approve to advertise. Okay, we'll list that. Number 11, amendment fee schedule and kennel fees. Yours?
Sure.
Mr. Garner?
Mr. Wien, if you recall at the meeting, I guess it was July, Borough Council had reviewed and discussed a kennel use policy and actually voted to approve that. As part of that policy, inherent were a number of fees that were created or at least provided for. One of those was what essentially is a user fee or a registration fee for other municipalities to use the kennel facilities. In addition, there was established, and I think we already had established, a boarding fee per day per animal at $30. I know the animal committee had recommended that if animals are picked up after 5 o'clock, there'd be an additional $40 charge based upon the time of the day. So I believe it's appropriate simply to reflect those fees in a formal fee resolution, and it's been prepared, and I would suggest that if you're inclined to move ahead with the kennel policy, which you've already done, the fee amendment is needed and appropriate.
Okay.
What was the registration fee?
The annual
It's
kennel fee rate.
It's an annual registration fee for $500 for any municipality that wants to use it. It excludes, obviously, the borough and the Pottsgroves that are part of the plan already. So anyone else would pay the $500.
So it's $70 for the first day of kenneling for an animal that's dropped off after 5 o'clock.
No, it's $30 a day, but if the animal is picked up after 5 p.m., then it would be 70 because they're then being accompanied by a police officer or the animal control officer after business hours of the sewer plant.
Okay. And is there a limit to the number of days the animal will be held?
Yes.
What is that limit?
The Pottsgroves and the Borough of Pottstown will have a maximum 3-day holding period. Any other township that's participating has outside of the Pottsgroves and the Pottstown is a 24-hour holding period. And then noon on Fridays, the kennel is getting cleared out. So an animal might only be there for 1 day that's in the Borough or Pottsgrove, just to ensure that there is no holding of over 3 days for a local animal.
Now, then they go to the SPCA?
And then the SPCA does a 7-day lost and found hold before they put them up for adoption.
Any other questions?
I mean, this is kind of late to the game, but I just have a quick question. This is the animal committee that came up with this, the policy? And just for clarity, who is on that committee?
Chief Drumheller, Captain Thomas, Sergeant Rathgeb, myself, Bill Sharon, Brent Wagner, and Karen Owens from the water treatment plant, and Deb Penrod.
But not the animal control officer?
No, the animal control officer is a contracted position with the borough.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll list this for Monday evening. 12, the 2017 minimum municipal obligation for the Pottstown Police Pension Plan.
It would be, Janice, if you're willing to comment on that, I'd suggest that 12 and 13 are.
Yeah, run them together. 13 is for the non-uniform.
Each year we do this, we set the rates for the following year's budget. So I have to estimate what everybody's wages will be through the end of the year. And the actuary then sets the MMO. So that is showing you what we will pay in 2017 towards the pensions, police and non-uniform.
And we'll be ready to vote on it Monday evening?
Yes.
Okay. Discussion, okay, we'll list that for Monday night. 12, 13. 14, the Borough Audit Request for Qualifications.
We sent out an RFQ for to 5 auditors, auditing firms. One of them declined, even though they had asked to be included in the RFQ. And we had, one was extremely high, another was the middle of the road, and our current existing mailing of the firm, they came in at less than what they charged us this year. So we're recommending that we go with the firm Maley for the next 2 years.
And the Finance Committee that met at 6 o'clock this afternoon agreed with you. So we'll list that for Monday evening. Okay, RFPs for professional services. Mr. Flanders.
As I'm sure some councilors are aware, we, from time to time, go out and test the waters in regard to professional services, specifically the solicitor, the borough engineer, the auditor, which you heard about tonight, the airport consultant that you voted on several months ago, and potentially some other positions. The last time the borough tested the waters and went out for a request for proposals for professional services was 2007. I would suggest that council authorize staff to, again, for the year 2018, test the waters, if you will, for professional services for the position of solicitor, labor attorney, borough engineer, and traffic engineer.
Okay. It's been what, all but 10 years? Okay, no discussion. We'll add that for Monday evening. 16 is vacant positions. A is the Construction Code Board of Appeals. There are 2 vacant terms and an alternate.
Clarification on the RFPs, I think I said 18, I meant for 2017, I'm a year ahead.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
So, for the Construction Code, do we have any applicants or recommendations? None at this time. All right, for the EAC, we have 1 vacancy.
No applications.
No one?
Be happy to take one by Monday night.
Pardon?
Be happy to take an application by Monday night.
Okay, we will. All right, we'll see one of those. For Harb, there's a vacancy of 1. Any names come forward? For the Human Relations Commission, are we ready to appoint?
We have current vacancies under the current ordinance.
Oh, under the current.
Right.
And how many of those do we need to fill?
Currently, it's 3 vacancies.
3 vacancies.
All right, we have a vacancy of 3 on the Human Relations Commission. Padita?
3 vacancies.
3 vacancies. Okay, if there are any names that come in over the weekend, we'll make them available Monday evening.
I believe for Padita, we do have 3.
Do.
We have 3 letters, yes.
Okay. All right, we'll see who applies by Monday. 17 is Harb.
I'll see you.
Under Harb, there are 4 properties. They're seeking our approval: 64 King Street, 60 North Hanover Street, 269 Beach Street, and 810 High Street. Any comments on these addresses? If not, they'll be listed for Monday. And under 18 Harb, administratively approved, that's by our staff. The 2 addresses are 912 High Street and 131 King Street. No comments on these, so we'll list those for Monday evening. We can all go out and look at them. 19 is comments from citizens present.
Before you do the comments, do you want to do the add-on now? Or do you want to
Okay. Yeah, let's do have that. I do have one add-on I had listed as number 22. This has to do with Hanover Square. The project is requesting an extension. Mr. Varner, can you address that?
If council recalls, it was our June meeting that the Hanover Square folks came forward and proposed the mixed-use project for the remaining portion of the Smith Pie project. Council did vote to approve that plan, and as part of the standard approval, it requires the applicant to satisfy the outstanding conditions of approval within 90 days. Most of the conditions have been satisfied by the applicant, but they have not yet completed and signed development agreements, and I think they're still waiting for a few permits from outside agencies. The developer has requested a 60-day extension of time to allow them to satisfy those conditions. That's a normal request. It's typically takes a while to satisfy those outside agencies. So based on that request, we would ask, or the developer would ask council to consider granting a 60-day extension of time to satisfy those conditions, and that can be listed for action Monday night if you're inclined to do that. There's really no reason not to do it, but it still requires your action.
Okay. If there's no reason not to, we'll list that for Monday evening. Okay, that's 22. And now, have we any volunteers that would like to comment?
Ralph Bainbridge.
Mr. Bainbridge.
I come tonight to thank you, Borough Council, for allowing me to conduct the 5th Annual Iron Horse Show on High Street. We netted, for the individual, $2,300, thanks to your generosity of waiving the fees. I'm just overjoyed with that. The benefit for the veteran is just astronomical. The young man's going to community college to be a physical therapist, and he needed our help, and he got it, full force. We had a bad day as far as the weather forecasters go, but what are you going to do? The other comment I have is trees. June the 5th, if you recall, there was a terrific windstorm blew through town. In my neighborhood alone, 2 trees came down and crushed 2 cars. They're ash trees out in my neighborhood, and they're just deteriorating. They're old. I mean, I've been here for 40 years, and they were here before I got here. I'd like to see something done. I don't know if there's an ordinance that controls tree trimming, or, you know, when a tree gets rotten and you can see the dead spots in a tree, and more than half of the tree has got dead spots in it, it's time to take it down before somebody gets hurt. And not only hurt, but they're causing the sidewalk to buckle and that sort of thing. One in particular in my neighbor's yard, it's just a monster. And I'm afraid that it's going to cause some physical harm. If not to me and my property, some poor soul walking past gets whacked in the head. I don't know what the council can do about it, but I think it needs to be addressed some way, shape, or form.
Okay, are these in someone's yard or out at the street?
They're in the person's yard. They're in the confines of the property. But this thing is like real big round.
Okay.
And already there's limbs that big that have fallen off, and an individual has them stashed beside of the house, which again is not a good thing for rodents and whatever. So I don't know what can be done, but 274 is the address.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll look into it, Mr. Bankers, and get back to you.
Councilors, general discussion. Councilor Paez. Anything?
I had complained for a long time that really bothered me is 129 High Street, the empty old house, the Mrs. I would remember the name, but, and also that dead tree, a very big one, the other day complained they almost fallen there at the house. Is there anything we can do about it? But other than that,
Mr. Place, I believe you have addressed that previously, correct? On South Kime Street, the tree,
It's number 169?
129.
129.
129, if I'm correct, it is a civil matter between the 2 parties.
Yes,
I think it's vacant right now.
correct.
yeah, for years.
It's, unfortunately, it's on private property, so it becomes a civil matter.
And they went to the court, what's going on with that? Because they asked me, what's going on with that, why did it take so long?
The people, unless this is, I'm not sure who you were talking to, but the people that had initially filed the complaint with us, we met with them
Yeah.
and advised them that it's a civil matter. If they want to take up legal action against their neighbors, they certainly can, but there's no borough ordinances or state laws that are being violated.
Okay, that means the board cannot do nothing with the empty house, you cannot do nothing with the tree.
The property is registered as a vacant property,
Okay.
and the tree is standing.
Okay.
Mr. Arms.
I'll save it from that day.
Okay. Mr. Proskal.
Pick up this Saturday. I'll be there. I believe it's around 10 o'clock at the Ricketts Center. And our town talks is on Tuesday, correct? And that's about it. I'll see you
Okay.
both. Go there.
Ms. Culp? Nothing? Ms. Miller?
Okay, there's a lot going on. Just to reiterate what Councilor Proxel said, Pottstown Talks with School Board Director Emmanuel Wilkerson is this Tuesday, September 13th at 7 p.m. at Connections on High. Saturday, September 17th is the Pet Fair at Memorial Park from 9 to 3. Sunday, September 18th is the Carousel of Flavor from 12 to 4 on the 100 block of High Street. Our next episode of the Borough Buzz is being filmed on the 15th, and it's a community outreach segment at the wastewater treatment plant. So if anybody has any questions about wastewater operations, odors, anything that you want to send, please email me at smiller@pottstown.org, and we'll try to answer all those questions during the taping of the segment. Sunday, October 16th, is an indoor flea market at North End Fire Company Banquet Hall. Tables are $10 for a 10-foot table, so if you have wares to sell, this is a good opportunity to get in on that.
What's the date again?
Sunday, October 16th, and that will be, I did write the 10 to 10 to 4, I had it written down, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can see Rebecca Zentmeyer in codes, or Michelle LeBlanc, or any of the drivers at North End Fire Company to purchase table tickets. Of course, we have the Pottstown Farm every Thursday, and this Thursday, Deb Penrod asked me to extend thanks to Bill and Sue Kraus for the 1971 poster celebrating 100 years of Pottstown Fire Department services that you can see at the Pottstown Historical Society located at 568 High Street. And they are open every second and fourth Sunday of every month. And I just want to keep Joe Kirkland in our thoughts. He was not able to be here tonight. He was in a minor auto accident at the end of August. He's still experiencing some pain. He does assure me that he will be here Monday evening.
I got that call. Thank you. Mayor Thomas.
Yeah, I have a few things. This Saturday, September 10th, is the opening day for PAL at the Fields in Upper Pottsgrove. On September 11th, on Patriots Day at 11 a.m., there will be a joint service that's open to the community, and it will be recognition of Pottstown first responders, as well as contiguous departments in the Pottsgroves as well as North Coventry. So everyone is welcome to come out and be a part of recognizing our first responders locally on Patriots Day. I'd like to say to Councilor Arms regarding your condition of that person for the fire chief living inside the borough, it seems that there is an option that you have to exercise a possibility of incentivizing it in some way to the compensation plan for the job, similar to what's happening at the school district. Another just sideline about this heroin activity that is unfortunately very pervasive and very non-discriminatory regarding economic status or location or any kind of parameters. So any person who's involved with a person who becomes unresponsive and needs medical attention, if those individuals are even involved and bring someone to the hospital, they are not going to be arrested, because this is also considered rescue and a life-saving endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I have nothing other to say than things are going well. Meeting adjourned.